right, welcome everybody to the All About Nothing podcast kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber. I'm joined by Mr. Bill Kimmler, who, of course, across all of social media is, except for X, is Political Bill SC. Welcome, Bill. How are you?
Good morning.
You were before we went on. You were telling me about your adventures of purchasing a new vehicle. Congratulations.
Yeah, when we last spoke, I had the worst weekend of my life and the best weekend of my life.
Yeah.
Altogether, lost a car, won a Super Bowl, and I feel like that was a fair trade. But I went and got a new car yesterday, and I haven't bought a car since 2014.
Yeah.
But one thing about my personality that I know, I literally told my wife, I'm borrowing your car. I'm going to go out and buy myself a car. I'll be back in an hour. Because I spend less time figuring out what car to get than I do what movie to watch that night. I I have no patience for the wheel and the deal and the comparing against 10 different dealerships and so on. But so yeah, I ended up getting a Toyota Acura and very, very reasonably priced car, didn't go overboard. 51 miles per gallon because of Trumponomics. I feel like this car is going to pay for itself when gas shoots up to $10 a gallon.
Yeah.
And then I'll be laughing at all the F1 Ford pickup, 10-mile a gallon trucks out there. I'll be the one that's still able to maneuver.
Yeah, your 51 miles to the gallon is close to what my 2005 element used to do, which was 25 miles a gallon. I'm still getting about 23, 21.
Okay.
It's not terrible. I am still impressed with how well this vehicle, performs. But we talked about it last time. I can't I have such a fear of what I owned a it was like a 1996 Saturn SL that
I've had Saturns.
yeah,
Yes. Those were good
and
cars.
it was a great car. The problem was is that I bought it used, and somewhere around the 30,000 mark, the previous owner went ahead and had the transmission fluid flushed. And once you flush the transmission fluid once, and I'm not a mechanic. I have done certain mechanic things, but once you have it flushed once, then you have to have it flushed over, every 30,000 miles or so. And I didn't know that. So I drove this car from like 52,000 miles all the way to like 90,000 miles to where the transmission just finally shut itself out. And then I paid and had it rebuilt, and it only lasted for like another 6 months before it was time to get rid of it.
Uh,
So
yeah, that
I have
sucks.
I have that automatic transmission fear now that
Hey, two quick things, if I may. I listened to Ami's show with you as the guest.
yeah.
I found that fascinating. I wrote her a note
Oh,
and I
good.
said, I really enjoyed that behind the scenes about podcasting, the equipment, the costs, the time spent. I want to hear more of that because I kind
Oh,
of
okay.
like, now that I've been doing a podcast for 3 years, kind of figuring it out on my own, developing my own style. You don't go to podcasting school.
Yeah.
You kind of figure it out. You talk to some people, you try different things, and it was really interesting to hear how you evolved, how she evolved. I enjoyed that episode, so well done.
Yeah, it was I think a lot of people don't know what at the very beginning what actually went into the whole process. And like literally I was writing my own RSS feed that I
Yeah,
was publishing on a website and then telling all of these other Apple and Google and Spotify and all these different distribution receptions of that RSS, uh how to, that they had to pull that for me. So every time I'd record an episode, I would record it, I'd package it all together, I'd upload it to my own website, like barrettgruber.com. I would upload it to that website in just a folder. RSS feed would point to that folder, and then I'd have to. So it
yeah.
was,
I heard the episode. You
it
don't need to
was,
relive the whole
yeah,
thing.
sorry,
I heard it. Yes,
but
but hey, we
yeah.
should plug her show. What's the name of her show?
So the name of her show is Welcome to Wonderland. Me basically does a deep dive into one topic every episode. She publishes monthly, and she's got a really good guest coming up for the month of February, March, January, February. We're in February.
We are.
Fudge. But she's got a really great guest coming up. We recorded this one last week, James Maxey, who is an author that has recently come out with a new book. I have not read it. Ami did, but they talked about that, the process of writing, different types and styles of fantasy books versus. Oh, this one was about the apocalypse. It was
Okay.
it was a really interesting conversation to listen to while I produced it from behind the desk.
Ah,
They record in front of me. But it was a really good episode. People should check it out. She's on TikTok and social media. Go to wtwlpod.com is where you can find all of the links to
great
her
episode.
episodes.
I've got an interesting guest coming up. I don't know exactly what episode we'll record with them, but there's a couple that I've met who were in the air when 9/11 occurred,
No kidding.
and they got diverted to Canada and into to a little town in Canada, along with so many other planes that was not really equipped to handle the sudden influx. Like the population tripled
Right?
due to these 9/11 diversions, and it was such a heartwarming story. They actually produced a musical about that. Now, the guest didn't create the musical. A musical was created
Yeah, yeah.
about their and everybody else's story. So we're going to go do a deep dive as to what it's like to be, flying over the Atlantic when 9/11 occurs,
That's
and
neat.
then being stuck in a foreign country, Canada in this case, for a while, and just how do you maneuver that, and how strangers come to the rescue. I can't wait to hear the story. They were telling this to me over burgers and beer, and I was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This is too good. Save it for the air. So
It's-
stay tuned for that. I think you're going to find that to be a diversion. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of politics involved, but this is really truly a story about humanity that I
well,
think we'll enjoy.
we Zach and I recorded an episode last night with Ashley Darling and Chris Jones, the CEO and CTO and cloud engineer or architect for
Of an app.
for the Neptune app. Fantastic conversation. Really, it was really cool meeting them. We're gonna have that episode coming out on Saturday for members, so you and then on Monday.
For the member.
I'm a member too. I pay.
Oh, okay. So you get to hear it early.
That's
What a
right.
bonus for you.
The number I used to not listen.
You did
Before.
tell me that you never listen back to your
I don't.
episodes.
I very
I listen
rarely.
to mine all the time. I am so thoroughly entertained by my own episodes. I listen to them nonstop, and they crack me up. Jamil is great. She
Yeah.
she throws in zingers that you don't expect, but you don't listen back to your episodes.
I don't listen back for the content. I listen back for the quality of it. In that when I listen back, if I do listen back through it, and I'm going through the process of trying to, like, if I hear myself breathing, like, that's the thing that bugs me the most, is hearing myself breathing when I'll
Yeah,
talk and
hearing
talk
you
and talk,
breathe
and then
bothers me too. You need to stop breathing. That's annoying.
you're not the first that said that. Some of them are no longer related to me. But the what I also wind up judging myself is my comedic timing. Like, I wish that I had given it a little bit more of a pause for the dramatic effect of jokes and things like that. And I think a lot of that comes down to when I listen back to it after it's been published. It's because I had to remove some space where I was waiting for Zach to say something, or you know. So yeah, my preference is just not to go back and listen to them for their content,
Well,
because
you do produce so much content, it's gotta be tough to keep up with yourself at this point. I mean, dailies and weeklies and guest appearances, you're everywhere.
yeah.
Hey, I want to throw another topic curveball. A couple weeks back, I talked about the fact that I was watching through all the Karate Kid films. Um, so I finally got settled down to watch Cobra Kai, and I
Okay.
saw the first season. My God, that is one of the best shows I've ever seen. I so am thoroughly enjoying this, where all of these characters from the original Karate Kid films were terrible. I thought they were horrible actors. I thought the plots were terrible. I thought everything about those movies were awful. Cobra Kai nailed it. And I thought it was interesting that it was produced by Will Smith,
Yeah.
whose son was in the remake of The Karate Kid. And so somehow they're bringing all these stories together. I really enjoyed it.
after we talked about where is Jaden Smith, after how long it's been or
Yeah.
whatever, and then like the very next day I saw footage of him. I guess maybe it was at
It's
the
some sort of
Grammys.
award show, Grammys or
Yeah,
something,
he's at
right?
the Grammys. He's wearing some box on top of his head,
It was
and
a
I'm like,
house. It was like a
yeah, it was a
house
house. That's what it
diorama
was.
on
That's
his
what
head.
it
I was like,
was.
well, why are you wearing a haunted house in your head? What the hell is that?
Yeah, I was like, because we were talking about, we're like, I'm really impressed with this kid. He's a really good actor. And then he was wearing a house on his head, and I was like, oh, well, you know, that's one of those situations where maybe his parents loved him just a little too much.
Who knows? But
I
hey, I want to plug Cobra Kai, and if I think today, or if not today, sometime soon, the final episodes of Cobra Kai are releasing.
Yeah,
So I'm watching an episode a day. Just finished season one, and I'll be wrapped up sometime in March. But I am thoroughly enjoying it. I recommend that to everybody. Very enjoyable show. Good
I
storyline, good acting. Everything about it is great.
yeah, I did enjoy watching Cobra Kai. The only like the only of all of the actors that are back, or well, I guess Ralph Macchio and the other guy, the guy that's the main character, who's
Yeah,
some people think is the actual Karate Kid. Um, but of them returning, man, Ralph Macchio is still the weakest of the characters. Like, to me,
but
it's
I'll tell you what, he's improved a lot from that
sure,
annoying character he played in the movies.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it didn't bother me so much, but he was just so twitchy in those original films. He's like, oh, Mr. Miyagi, what is it? And it's like, dude, stay off the crack, kid. I mean, he was
it
just
was rough.
way too twitchy for that show.
It was rough.
But the TV show, I think he's more subdued. There's humor spread throughout it. Uh, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. So now,
What
do you want to talk about Elon's kid at the White House?
man, was that good? And I assume you've seen have you heard Elon's kid telling Trump to shut his
It
mouth?
is the most disturbing thing, and now my brain is completely obsessed over the fact that Elon Musk is really running this country right now,
Yeah.
and Donald Trump has been quote unquote cucked. When you hear, in fact, I kind of saw some social media blips about it, and I figured, oh, there's some exaggeration going on, whatever. When you watch the video and you hear a 4-year-old kid tell Donald Trump, who's sitting at that desk, shut your mouth. You're not the president.
Yeah.
4-year-old kid doesn't think of that on his own.
No.
That's the whole point. The 4-year-old kid has no concept, would not have put those words together. That's what he hears
Yep.
in car with daddy.
Yep.
And Donald Trump just stood there. Like there's this iconic picture of Trump during the first presidency, his first term, where he's standing next to Vladimir Putin and he's got this look on his face like,
Yeah.
Putin standing up straight and proud, and Donald just looked like he got, rimmed with some plastics in his backside.
Rimmed.
Uh, this was that same look.
Yeah.
Like Donald Trump sitting at that desk looking like he just got beat while a 4-year-old kid is berating him, and Elon just standing there in his baseball cap issuing lies.
Yeah.
I truly think that with his money, somehow, some way, he is running the show. It makes all the sense in the world that he's able to run roughshod across all these agencies, get access to all the data. I almost fear, and again, if my brain goes too far, that we are heading into supervillain mode,
Yeah.
where one day he has literally sucked all the money out of all of our bank accounts.
And or
Like, imagine that.
yeah, or he has access and the ability to control our military, at least from a technological standpoint. Like, these are genuine concerns that
Yeah.
regardless of politics, like, everyone should have some concern about where is the control over Elon Musk.
I mean,
And
he's got what, several $billion contract now with
oh,
the government
all
to
basically, Bill, every bit of money that he has made in the billions has been off of the teat of governments around the world, mostly the United States.
well, I'm
He
talking
didn't
about recently. I'm talking about in
Oh yeah.
this week
Oh
has
yeah, yeah, yeah.
landed some army contracts to build like army Teslas,
Yeah.
something like that. Just everybody else is getting cut and that money is being diverted to his companies. Again, I don't know how rich a person needs to feel to be. I mean, you got you spend $1 million a minute, you won't run out of money when you have that kind of wealth.
Right.
But there's just something very nefarious going on here where this guy has completely commandeered the president, got the president to be quiet during this press conference, and have a little kid dress him down.
Yeah.
That was very bizarre. And I don't know how the MAGA world is not talking about it. I don't
Right.
understand how they're not talking about it.
Well, and I don't participate much in the MAGAverse or MAGA talk or whatever some of these people that show up into our feeds. But I don't understand. I get how we got to this point because a lot of voters felt disenfranchised. Either they didn't want Kamala Harris as their candidate, so they just didn't show up. A lot of people just didn't think that she could beat someone who, as a woman,
I'm going to take it a different way. After seeing that video of little X sitting in the Oval Office,
his kid's name is X.
I know, little X sitting in the Oval Office, I was like 0.01% on the side of conspiracy theory about that election. I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, the voters have spoken, and it was a close election, and he squeaked it out.
Yeah.
Now I'm leaning, into the teens, if not the 20%, into believing there might have been some election subterfuge going around with Elon involved.
Well, at one
I
point
mean,
on
Trump said something,
yeah,
right?
Trump was on stage and he said, I sent Elon to Pennsylvania and he figured out how those voting machines worked. And, if
Yeah.
it weren't for that, we wouldn't have win. And it's like, you just said you confessed out loud. And the fact that no one, like, from like the mainstream media, which ultimately is just a complete failure as far as what I consider the press to be. And then yesterday I saw that Trump didn't allow for the press to participate in his in one of his Oval Office press conferences.
I think it's about the Associated
Yeah,
Press
the
was booted
Associated
out
Press. Yeah.
because they refused to change it to Gulf of America. So for
Yeah.
violating Gulf of America propaganda policy, they were booted out. We've seen that play before.
It's the whole it's such an and like you said, I said the same thing. I'm not going to speculate on what I'm afraid is going to happen. I'm just going to react to what has happened. And uh that is I we were at that point within what 30 minutes into his presidency where he did a speech where it was, basically just an unhinged thing, and then an hour later he's in front of the Republican lunch group and went even crazier. I don't know what it's going to take, although while I am seeing Buddy Crockett or something in Georgia, a representative out of Georgia, has a bill that has not yet made it onto the floor to allow President Trump to negotiate with Denmark for the I you can't really call it a purchase because you can't. I don't think you can purchase countries anymore, but to take over Greenland and call it red, white, and blueland.
I think
Have you
it's
seen
called
this
Red.
yet?
Was it Red, White, and Blueland or Red, White, and Bluistan? I
Blueland,
forget.
like
Blueland.
yeah,
Okay.
like and pronouncing it not land but lind, like Blueland, and so there's still some nut jobs in the Republican Party in Congress that are coming up with these absurd ways of trying to get Trump to acknowledge them. But yeah, how long is it going to be before they start to recognize, oh shit, Trump's not the one in charge. We need to hit up Musk. Musk is the one we want to. I think it's going to be
It,
sooner than we think.
it's strange times, Barrett. It's very strange times. And I don't know how to prepare myself, like, and prepare my family.
Yeah.
You know, do I cash out the 401k and get gold bars and bury them in the backyard? I mean, what do you do when you don't have confidence in the entire economic infrastructure because of what we see being dismantled right in front of our eyes? I mean, this isn't simple. Hey, we want to shrink the government. I mean, I'll tell you what, Barack Obama shrank the government back in his first couple of years because we were coming out of a horrible recession. There were some severe budgeting issues, but he worked with Congress. They passed legislation. They had a plan.
Yep.
They did the same thing where they asked for voluntary early retirements. I mean, they offered plans. They went through this, but in a proper manner that was approved by various parties, by various forms of or pillars of the government. So it was all done on the up and up. This this is just chaos,
Yeah.
and nobody thrives under chaos. And so that's why I am very concerned as essential services are getting cut. We saw it happen with X. We saw, slash and burn at X headquarters. And next thing you know, X was going down constantly.
Yep.
Uh, People were sending support emails and getting poop emojis back. You remember that?
Yep.
I mean, imagine you're now emailing the White House and now you're getting a poop emoji back from the White House over your concerns about, everything.
I have a friend that I went to high school with, that he actually worked for X and was part of. They're part of a civil lawsuit against X for their terminations, but he was part of the group that basically got an email, the fork in the road email, and they were all terminated at basically the same time. They went to the office in Atlanta to try and either get their stuff or even just show up for last paychecks, whatever. Doors were locked. Nobody would come to the door. Security was keeping them from getting in. Like it was a, and we're gonna eventually have him on the show too.
Okay. Hey,
Um,
I saw a lightning flash behind you. You're
yeah,
getting a storm.
we got a little bit of a storm going on right now.
It
We got
hit here first about
ha-
2 hours ago. Yeah. So
yeah,
I see it's working its way east.
yeah.
And before Trump, we never had 4 a.m. thunderstorms. I mean, this is just a disaster. Everything is going awry. I mean, our thunderstorms used to be, remember, like in the daylight hours or
Yeah.
maybe in the evening when you're awake, you never got 4 a.m. thunderstorms.
Well,
That's Trump and climate change.
if Trump has his way and he ends the National Weather Service, which is on the agenda, this we will never know when it rains because
The
I
way I
don't.
look at it, if Trump's going to take credit every time the sun rises, I'm going to give him the blame every time we have storms at 4 a.m. So it's fair. That's how this works.
I think that him taking credit for it is just because he gets up and he stares right into it and it's like, oh, the
Right.
sun. I'm gonna call this. They didn't always call it the sun. I'm gonna start calling it the sun.
We're going to call it the Star of America. We're not going to call it the sun anymore. Google, we want you to change your app. Call it the Star of America.
That's so specific. It's just, you know, the he. I think I started out. They banned. Or he didn't ban. He took away the regulation that was bringing paper straws more into whatever. And so this week there was an
So was
executive
it?
order.
I guess I was surprised. I mean, I've seen paper straws,
Sure.
but was there really a regulation? I mean, was
So
there?
no, no. I mean, there were some companies that had moved over to using paper straws. I think at one
And
point,
maybe, some states, like I could see California,
California. Yeah,
making some sort of, pollution effort with plastics.
yeah.
But was there any federal regulation
I don't.
implemented saying you have to use paper straws nationwide?
I don't think so. And that's why a lot of like the executive orders that get the most attention initially are these basically these things that are just like they're proclamations, like the Gulf of America or the banning of paper straws. But what during the presser when he was signing it and he was talking about it, he said that one of the things he said, and I'm gonna paraphrase, but he basically said these straws are exploding. And so I just if there's anyone out there that has had a paper straw explode on them, please get a hold of me. You can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com. Check our social media. Get in touch with me either Blue Sky or Facebook or whatever, because I want to have you on the show. I want to know what it took to recover from.
So let me get this straight. So paper straws exploding, bad. Tesla Cybertrucks exploding, good. All right, that's where we're at in this nation. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. Well, Tesla trucks exploding because a domestic terrorist disagreed with whatever. Yeah, maybe.
Supposedly, that's
That's
one
yeah. That's
theory.
the story. That's the theory. Yeah, it's we live. I keep having to say this. We live in the dumbest timeline, and just scanning across some of the comments that I'm seeing on TikTok right now, you people have a problem. Like the ones that don't recognize that we're trying to be as funny about this as possible. You people have a serious issue. I realize that the likelihood is that there is not money available for you to seek actual medical help, but consider it. Just talk to somebody, and not us, because I don't want to hear it. But it's frightening, some of the stuff people are saying.
Find out what town that guy lives in, because when Cardi B becomes president in 2028, I want his town renamed to Assholistan. I mean, because now presidents can just rename whatever town they want. So let's get that done. President
Yeah,
B. I
yeah.
want to see that go into effect.
Yeah, no, I want some of the places that you all people, you huge Trump supporters, the places you live. I want you all to start ring. I want your names, streets, names of towns, post offices, whatever.
Yes.
Trumpville, Trumpland.
When I
Let's
came
go
down,
all the
when I
way.
came down, true story. When I came back from Roanoke, Virginia, in my rental car, I actually drove through some weird area of Virginia that was named Trump Town. They had a massive mega Trump store. Like when you go to the beach and you see those huge beach stores where it's
Yeah,
like this big warehouse with
Wings and
millions of beach stuff,
Eagles.
right? Yes. They had a Trump version of that in the middle of Virginia, the parking lot, all pickup trucks with flags and Trump flags and everything in them. I was like, let me get out of this town before, my identity is uncovered. Let me get through this thing. But the cult worship for a single individual is absolutely frightening. Jesus is looking on going, damn, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the attention this guy gets. Boy, if I could get half the love, like, man, he's up there taking notes for his second coming on how to do it right this time.
Jesus is just commenting to himself somewhere in heaven, going, "Man, I wish that I had the publicist that he had."
Yeah. Yeah. I said I should have had a baseball cap, you know?
Maybe okay. I was about to go one step too far with the differences between Jesus and Trump, but glad I didn't. Stop myself. See, this is control. You people on Twitter, on TikTok, some of you need to find some control. I think that's gonna do it for today's episode. Bill,
How is
thank you
it
for
that this show is like a bug light that attracts flies and moths and stuff? How do you attract these people into your TikTok feed? How does that happen?
the funny part. I think what happens is, as we get up early in the morning, for some people that's when the meth starts to wear off, and
Uh,
so it's a we're finding that equilibrium, uh where we just kind of line up. That's the only thing I can come up with. It's a meth thing, I think.
well,
So
let's continue to praise incompetence
sure.
and move on.
Yeah,
All
so
right, go ahead, wrap up, sir.
yeah, this is the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. We do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I am Barrett Gruber, at Barrett Gruber across social media. Mr. Bill Kimmler, who is political Bill SC across social media as well, the host of Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jameel Brooks. Did you hear the new zinger at the end of the episodes for your?
I did. I
Yeah,
heard that. Well done. I also heard your leprechaun commercial.
yeah. By
I
the
I
way,
I'd
thank you very
completely
much for
forgotten
that.
about that, and it brought a smile to my face. Well done.
Very much thank you for that. My mother was thrilled with that. So great job on that. Yeah, so Bill is the host of Black, White, and Blue in the South, available every other Wednesday. And you all are recording this weekend for
Not sure.
two
No, not this
weeks. Oh, next
weekend.
weekend.
The following weekend. Yeah, our schedule got goofed up with the Super Bowl, so we released 2 episodes back to back, and now we're going to be a little off schedule, but we'll get back on path.
Yeah.
I might have I might have a bonus episode coming up this week.
Okay.
So we'll see. I got some ideas, like a best of type of thing.
Sure.
You got to have some fillers. We have over 52 episodes now, so it might be worthwhile to pull out some special clips from the past and create a little filler bonus episode before we get back into the studio.
Well, very cool. I look forward to
You've
that.
not done the same, have you? So that's what happens when you don't listen to your own shows. You can't create a best of because you don't remember what you did.
The most I have is for What the Pod, which I still we're struggling to get that back
Oh,
together. But for What the Pod, I did do a show of nothing but my introductions for Carrie and Zach.
okay.
So that
You
was
know, I want to be on that show.
do
That's
you?
the
Okay.
podcast I want.
Well then
What the
I will
pod? It gets down into the muck where I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
I
So if you
will
ever want another participant, you let me know.
I will do it. I will absolutely do it. All right, Bill. You have a great day. Everyone, you all stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Try to be kind. Maybe talk to a doctor for some of you, and let's all just keep our hands to ourselves. And then right at the end, I got a social community warning on TikTok, and I'm guessing it's